The morning sun painted golden streaks across the crowded train station as hundreds of people rushed through the platforms like waves against a shore. Rose Mitchell stood on her tiptoes, her heart hammering with anticipation. Her cousin James was finally returning home after 3 long years studying abroad, and she could barely contain her excitement. She clutched the welcome sign she had made the night before, decorated with colorful markers and silly drawings that would surely make him laugh. Her phone buzzed with a text from James saying his train had just arrived at platform 7. Rose's eyes scanned the sea of faces emerging from the train carriages, searching desperately for that familiar figure. Then she saw him. At least she thought she saw him. Tall frame, dark hair, the same build as James. The man was walking away from her, his back turned as he checked his phone. Without a second thought, Rose pushed through the crowd, her heart full of joy. She had missed James so much, missed their long talks and his terrible jokes. The distance between them closed quickly as she ran, weaving between travelers, pulling suitcases, and families reuniting. When she finally reached him, Rose threw her arms around him from behind, hugging him with all the love and excitement she had been holding in for 3 years. "James, I cannot believe you are finally home," she squealed, pressing her face against his back. Except something felt wrong immediately. This back was broader than she remembered, more muscular. The fabric of his suit was too smooth, too expensive. And the cologne, a sophisticated scent of cedar and mint, was nothing like the cheap body spray James always wore. Rose's excitement transformed into pure horror in a heartbeat. She slowly released her grip and stepped back, her mind racing with the terrible realization of what she had just done. The man turned around, and Rose wished the ground would open up and swallow her whole. The stranger before her was nothing like James. He was devastatingly handsome, with sharp features that looked carved from marble, steel gray eyes that seemed to pierce right through her, and an expression of complete surprise mixed with something else she could not quite identify. His perfectly tailored navy suit probably cost more than her entire year's salary. Everything about him screamed wealth and power, from his designer watch to his expensive leather shoes. Nathan Pierce had been in the middle of checking an urgent email from his company when he felt arms wrap around him. For a split second before his logical mind could process what was happening, something strange occurred. A warmth spread through his chest, an unfamiliar sensation that caught him completely off guard. In his 32 years of life, Nathan had built walls around himself so high that nothing and no one could penetrate them. He had made his first million by 25, his first billion by 30, all while maintaining an ice-cold demeanor that had earned him the nickname The Machine in business circles. Love was a concept Nathan had dismissed long ago as a chemical reaction, a weakness that clouded judgment and destroyed empires. He had watched countless colleagues and competitors make foolish decisions in the name of love, losing fortunes and reputations. Nathan had sworn he would never fall into that trap. Yet here he was, feeling his carefully constructed philosophy crack just slightly from a simple mistaken hug. Oh my goodness. "I am so sorry," Rose's voice broke through his thoughts. Her face had turned a deep shade of red, and she looked absolutely mortified. "I thought you were someone else, my cousin. He has dark hair, too, and from behind, I just assumed, and I was so excited, and oh no, this is the most embarrassing moment of my entire life." She was rambling, her words tumbling out in a rushed, panicked stream. Nathan found himself fascinated. In his world, people calculated every word, every gesture. But this woman, this stranger who had just hugged him like he was her long-lost family, was completely unfiltered and genuine. It was refreshing in a way he had not experienced in years. "It is all right," Nathan heard himself say, his voice softer than usual. "Mistakes happen." Rose covered her face with her hands, peeking at him through her fingers. "You must think I am completely insane. I promise I am not some weird person who goes around hugging random strangers at train stations. This has never happened before. I am usually very aware of my surroundings. But I was just so excited, and I really thought you were James, and now I am going to die of embarrassment." Despite his usual stoic nature, Nathan felt the corner of his mouth twitch into something that might have been a smile. "You have very strong hugging skills. Your cousin is lucky to have someone so excited to see him. Rose lowered her hands, looking surprised by his response. For a moment, their eyes met properly, and Nathan felt that strange warmth again. Her eyes were a rich hazel color, full of life and emotion. So different from the cold, calculating gazes he encountered daily in boardrooms and business meetings. There was something pure about her, something untouched by the cynicism that plagued his world. "Thank you for being so understanding," Rose said softly, her cheeks still flushed. "I should go find my actual cousin now before I accidentally hug anyone else." She turned to leave, but Nathan surprised himself by speaking again. "Wait." Rose paused, looking back at him with curious eyes. Nathan realized he had no idea what he wanted to say. He just knew he was not ready for this encounter to end. "I hope you find him. Your cousin." Rose smiled, a genuine, warm smile that seemed to light up her entire face. "Thank you. And again, I am really sorry about the hug." As she disappeared into the crowd, Nathan stood frozen for a moment, his email completely forgotten. He watched her go, noticing the worn backpack on her shoulders, the simple clothes that had been washed many times, the determination in her stride despite her obvious embarrassment. Something about her had touched a part of him he thought no longer existed, a part he had buried under years of business deals and calculated decisions. Nathan Pierce returned to his waiting car, but his mind was not on the important meeting he had scheduled that afternoon. Instead, he kept replaying that moment, the warmth of an unexpected hug from a stranger who had mistaken him for someone she loved. It bothered him that he could not stop thinking about her, that her laugh and her embarrassment and her genuine apology had somehow lodged themselves in his thoughts. For the first time in his adult life, Nathan Pierce wondered if perhaps he had been wrong about something, and that realization was both terrifying and strangely exhilarating. Nathan Pierce had always prided himself on his ability to compartmentalize. Business went in one box, personal life in another, though the second box had remained virtually empty for years. Yet 3 days after the train station incident, he found himself doing something completely out of character. He was searching for a woman whose name he did not even know. His assistant, Patricia, had looked at him with barely concealed shock when he asked her to find out about the small businesses near the train station. Nathan never involved himself in such trivial matters, but he could not shake the memory of those warm hazel eyes and that genuine, mortified apology. It irritated him, this persistent thought of a stranger. He told himself he simply wanted to understand why this random encounter had affected him so deeply. It was a puzzle to solve, nothing more. Patricia returned within hours with a list of cafes, shops, and a small bakery called Sunrise Bakery just 2 blocks from the station. Nathan found himself walking past it the next morning, telling himself he was simply taking a different route to clear his head. Through the window he saw her. Rose was behind the counter, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, flour dusting her cheek as she laughed at something a customer said. The sight stopped him in his tracks. Before he could talk himself out of it, Nathan pushed open the door. A small bell chimed, announcing his arrival. The bakery was tiny and warm, filled with the scent of fresh bread and cinnamon. It was the complete opposite of the sterile modern spaces Nathan usually occupied. Rose looked up from the register, and her eyes widened in recognition. "Oh no," she whispered, her face immediately turning red. "You." Nathan felt that strange flutter again. "Me," he confirmed, approaching the counter. "I was in the neighborhood and thought I would try the bakery everyone talks about." Rose narrowed her eyes suspiciously. "Everyone talks about this place? This tiny bakery that barely makes enough to pay rent? That everyone?" He had been caught in his lie, but instead of feeling embarrassed, Nathan felt amused. She was sharp. "Perhaps I overstated. But I do need coffee. And I noticed this place on my way to the office." "Your office?" Rose repeated slowly, glancing at his expensive suit. "Let me guess. You own some huge company in one of those glass towers downtown?" "Something like that," Nathan replied, not wanting to reveal his identity just yet. Something told him that if she knew who he was, everything would change. People always changed when they learned about his wealth. "What do you recommend?" Rose studied him for a moment, then sighed. "The cinnamon rolls are fresh. Coffee is strong. That will be $6. Tea. Over the following weeks, Nathan became a regular at Sunrise Bakery. He came every morning before work, sometimes even during lunch breaks. He told himself it was because the coffee was good, but deep down he knew the truth. He was drawn to Rose's authenticity, her quick wit, and the way she treated him like a normal person rather than a walking bank account. Their conversation started simple. Weather, traffic, the occasional complaint about difficult customers. But gradually they deepened. Nathan learned that Rose worked 2 jobs to support her grandmother, who had raised her after her parents died in a car accident when she was 12. Rose learned that Nathan had built his technology company from nothing, working 18-hour days for years to prove himself. Why? Rose asked one rainy morning when the bakery was empty except for them. Why work so hard if you already have more money than you could spend in 10 lifetimes? Nathan paused, his coffee cup halfway to his lips. No one had ever asked him that question so directly. Because work does not disappoint you. Success is measurable. Love, relationships, people, they are unpredictable. They leave. Rose tilted her head, studying him with those perceptive eyes. That is the saddest thing I have ever heard. It is realistic, Nathan countered. It is lonely, Rose said softly. Her words hit him harder than any business rival's insult ever had. Because she was right. He was lonely. He had been lonely for so long that he had forgotten what connection felt like until a stranger accidentally hugged him at a train station. The turning point came on a Thursday afternoon. Nathan arrived at the bakery to find Rose in the back room, crying. Her co-worker, Jenny, looked helpless. She just got a call from the hospital, Jenny whispered. Her grandmother needs surgery. Expensive surgery. Without thinking, Nathan walked into the back room. Rose looked up, tears streaming down her face, and quickly tried to wipe them away. Sorry, we are closing early today. How much do you need? Nathan asked directly. Rose blinked. What? For the surgery. How much? Her expression shifted from vulnerable to defensive in seconds. That is none of your business. Rose, let me help. No. She stood up, her jaw set stubbornly. I do not take charity, especially from someone I barely know. This is not charity. Consider it a loan. A loan I could never pay back. Rose laughed bitterly. I know expensive suits when I see them, Nathan. Whatever you do, you make more in a day than I make in a year. I will not be in debt to someone like you. Her words stung, though Nathan understood her pride. He had once been poor himself, had once known the shame of needing help. An idea formed in his mind, crazy and impulsive, but somehow perfect. Then let me propose a deal, Nathan said carefully. Teach me to bake. Real baking, not just following a recipe. I pay you for lessons, and you use that money however you need. Rose stared at him. You want to learn to bake? You, in your $1,000 suit, want to stand in a kitchen and learn to make bread? Yes. Why? Nathan met her eyes. Because I want to understand what makes you happy. I want to know why you smile when you pull a perfect loaf from the oven. I want to learn something real, something that is not about profit margins and stock prices. The honesty in his voice seemed to surprise them both. Rose was quiet for a long moment, then finally nodded. Fine, but I am a tough teacher. And if you waste my time, the deal is off. Agreed. The baking lessons began that weekend in the bakery's kitchen after closing time. Nathan arrived in jeans and a simple shirt, the first time Rose had seen him in casual clothes. She handed him an apron with a small smile. Welcome to my world. Those lessons became the highlight of Nathan's weeks. Rose was indeed a tough teacher, correcting his technique, laughing when he added too much flour, showing him the precise way to knead dough. But she was also patient, and Nathan found himself actually enjoying the process. There was something meditative about working with his hands, creating something tangible. You have to feel it, Rose explained one evening, her hands covered in dough. Baking is not just following steps. It is about understanding the ingredients, sensing when something is right. Nathan watched her work, mesmerized by her passion. You really love this. I do, Rose smiled. My grandmother taught me. She said baking is about more than food. It is about bringing joy to people, creating moments of happiness. Every cake, every loaf of bread, it is made with care and hope that it will make someone's day better. "That is beautiful," Nathan said softly. Rose glanced at him, and something shifted in the air between them. They were standing close, flour dusting both of them, the warm scent of baking bread surrounding them. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Rose cleared her throat and stepped back. "Your turn. Show me you can make a proper baguette." As weeks passed, Nathan found himself opening up in ways he never had before. During a late-night session, while waiting for croissants to proof, he told Rose about his childhood. "My parents were wealthy, but they were never there. I was raised by nannies and tutors. When I told my father I wanted to start my own company, he laughed and said I would fail. So I worked harder, became more successful than him, and waited for it to feel like enough. It never did." Rose listened without judgment, her eyes soft. "Success does not fill the holes that love should fill." "I know that now," Nathan admitted. "I think I have always known it. I just did not want to admit that maybe I was wrong about everything." "You were not wrong about everything," Rose said gently. "You were just protecting yourself." "We all do that in different ways." Their conversations grew deeper, more personal. Rose shared her dreams of opening her own bakery someday, a place that would serve as a community hub where people could gather and feel welcomed. Nathan found himself wanting to make that dream come true for her. But he held back, knowing she would refuse any direct help. One evening, as they cleaned up after a particularly messy lesson involving chocolate eclairs, Nathan caught Rose humming softly. She was happy, truly happy. Despite working 2 jobs and worrying about her grandmother. Despite having so little, she had something Nathan had spent his entire life missing. Contentment. "Rose," Nathan said suddenly, "that day at the train station when you hugged me, that was the first genuine physical contact I had experienced in years. Everyone in my life wants something from me. But you just wanted to hug someone you loved. And even though it was a mistake, it woke something up in me that I thought was dead." Rose stopped humming, turning to face him. "Nathan, I am not finished," he continued, his heart racing. "These past weeks, learning to bake, talking with you, laughing with you, have been the best weeks of my life. You make me want to be different, to believe in things I thought were foolish. You make me want to believe in love." The words hung in the air between them. Rose's eyes were wide, her expression a mix of surprise and something else Nathan desperately hoped was reciprocation. "I make minimum wage," Rose whispered. "I live in a tiny apartment with my grandmother. I have student loans and medical bills, and I shop at thrift stores. Your world and mine, they do not fit together." Nathan stepped closer. "Maybe they do not have to fit. Maybe they can just be." Rose looked up at him, and in her eyes, Nathan saw the same fear he felt. The fear of taking a chance, of being vulnerable, of potentially getting hurt, but he also saw hope. And for the first time in his life, Nathan Pierce understood that love was not a weakness to avoid, but a strength to embrace, even if it terrified him completely. The moment between Nathan and Rose shattered when Rose's phone rang loudly in the quiet bakery kitchen. She pulled away, answering quickly. Her face went pale as she listened, and Nathan felt his stomach drop even before she spoke. "I have to go," Rose said, her voice shaking. "The hospital just called. My grandmother had a complication. I need to be there right now." "I will drive you," Nathan offered immediately, already removing his apron. Rose looked like she wanted to refuse, but panic won over pride. "Okay, thank you." The drive to the hospital was tense and silent. Nathan kept glancing at Rose, who sat rigid in the passenger seat, her hands clenched in her lap. When they arrived, she jumped out before he could even park properly. Nathan followed her inside, staying close as she rushed to the intensive care unit. The next few hours were a blur. Doctors spoke in medical terms that essentially meant her grandmother needed another surgery, more extensive and more expensive than the first. Rose sat in the waiting room, her face buried in her hands, and Nathan felt completely helpless. He was a man who could solve almost any problem with money or influence, but he could not take away her pain. "The baking lessons," Rose said suddenly, looking up at him with red eyes. "They are not going to be enough. Even with what you have paid me, it is not close to what we need now." Nathan sat beside her, choosing his words carefully. "Let me cover it, please. No loans, no deals. Just let me help someone who has given me more than she realizes." "I cannot accept that." Rose said firmly, though her voice cracked. You do not understand. My whole life, I have had to work for everything. When my parents died, we had nothing. My grandmother cleaned houses and worked nights to raise me. She taught me that we do not take handouts, that we earn our way. If I let you pay for this, what does that say about everything she taught me? It says you are human, Nathan replied softly. It says that sometimes accepting help is not weakness, but wisdom. Your grandmother would want you to save her life, Rose. Pride does not matter if she is not here. Tears streamed down Rose's face. Before Nathan could say anything else, his phone buzzed insistently. He glanced at the screen and saw multiple missed calls from Vincent Shaw, his business partner, and the company's chief financial officer. With a sigh, Nathan stepped away to call him back. Where have you been? Vincent's sharp voice demanded. We have the Henderson merger meeting in an hour. This deal is worth $2 billion, Nathan. $2 billion. And you are unreachable? I had something important to handle, Nathan said, watching Rose through the waiting room window. More important than the biggest deal of the quarter? What is going on with you lately? You have been distracted, missing meetings, leaving early. The board is starting to talk. Nathan felt a flash of anger. Let them talk. I will be there when I can. This is not like you, Vincent said, his tone shifting to concern. Is everything all right? Everything is fine. I just have priorities beyond work right now. There was a pause. This is about a woman, is it not? Nathan did not answer, which was answer enough. Be careful, Vincent warned. You have worked too hard to build this empire to let emotions cloud your judgment now. Remember what happened to Richard Chen? He fell for the wrong woman and lost half his company in the divorce. This is different, Nathan said quietly. It is always different until it is not, Vincent replied. Just think about what you are risking here. Nathan ended the call, but Vincent's words lingered. He returned to find a doctor speaking with Rose. Her grandmother had stabilized, and the surgery was scheduled for the following week. Rose looked exhausted but relieved. Thank you for staying, she said to Nathan as they walked to his car. You did not have to do that. I wanted to, Nathan said simply. Over the next few days, Nathan found himself living in two completely different worlds. During the day, he attended board meetings, negotiated contracts, and managed his company. But every evening, he rushed to the hospital to sit with Rose while she kept vigil at her grandmother's bedside. He brought her food, made sure she rested, and simply stayed present. It was during one of those quiet evenings that Rose's grandmother, Martha, woke up lucid enough to talk. She looked at Nathan with sharp, intelligent eyes that reminded him of Rose. So you are the young man my granddaughter talks about, Martha said, her voice weak but warm. Grandmother, do not tire yourself, Rose protested gently. Hush, child. I am old, not dead yet. Martha smiled at Nathan. She says you are teaching yourself to bake. That is good. A man who is willing to learn is a man worth knowing. Nathan felt oddly honored by her approval. Your granddaughter is an excellent teacher. She is an excellent everything, Martha said proudly. But she is also stubborn like her grandfather. She will not let people help her even when she needs it most. Rose blushed. Grandmother, I'm serious, Rose. This man clearly cares about you. I can see it in how he looks at you. Do not push him away because of pride. Pride keeps you warm at night, but it does not keep you happy. Those words stayed with Nathan as he drove home that night. He made a decision then, one that would either bring him and Rose together or push them apart forever. He would pay for Martha's surgery anonymously through the hospital's charity fund. Rose would never have to know it was him, but secrets in small communities rarely stayed hidden. 2 days before the scheduled surgery, Rose stormed into Nathan's office building. She bypassed security, ignored his assistant's protests, and burst into his private office where he was in the middle of a video conference. Excuse me, Nathan said to the people on screen. I need to take this. He ended the call and stood up. Rose, what is wrong? You paid for the surgery, she said, her voice trembling with anger and hurt. The hospital called and said an anonymous donor covered everything. But I know it was you. Who else would do that? Nathan came around his desk. Rose, please understand. Understand what? That you went behind my back? That you did exactly what I asked you not to do? Her eyes filled with tears. Do you know how that makes me feel? Like a charity case, like someone who cannot take care of her own family. That is not what I intended, Nathan said desperately. I just wanted to help. Your grandmother needs this surgery, and I have the means to make it happen. What is wrong with that? Everything is wrong with it, Rose shouted. Because now I am in debt to you. Now there is this huge thing between us that I can never repay. You took away my choice, Nathan. You decided what was best for me without asking. I am sorry, Nathan said, and he genuinely was. I was not thinking about how it would make you feel. I was only thinking about keeping Martha alive. Rose wiped her eyes angrily. I need space. I cannot see you right now. Rose, please. But she was already walking away. Nathan stood frozen in his office watching her leave and felt something inside him breaking. He had tried to help and instead had hurt the one person who mattered most to him. Vincent appeared in the doorway moments later. That was her, was it not? The woman who has been distracting you. Nathan did not answer, staring at the empty doorway. She looks ordinary, Vincent observed. What does she do? She works at a bakery, Nathan said quietly. Vincent's expression shifted to concern. Nathan, you are a billionaire. You are on the Forbes list. You cannot seriously be considering a relationship with a bakery worker. Think about the optics, the media, the potential complications. I do not care about any of that. You should, Vincent said firmly. The board is already questioning your recent behavior. If you pursue this publicly, it will affect the company's image, potentially our stock price. You have shareholders to think about, responsibilities. Nathan turned to face his business partner. What good is any of it if I am miserable? You are not miserable. You are successful, powerful, respected. Do not throw that away for infatuation. But Nathan barely heard him. He was already thinking about Rose, about how to make this right, about how to show her that his feelings were genuine and not some rich man's passing fancy. The surgery happened 3 days later. Nathan stayed away as Rose had asked, but he could not stop himself from calling the hospital every few hours for updates. When he learned that Martha had survived and was recovering well, the relief was overwhelming. He gave Rose a week before attempting contact. When she did not respond to his messages, he did something bold. He showed up at Sunrise Bakery early one morning before it opened. Rose was inside preparing the day's bread. She saw him through the window and hesitated before unlocking the door. What are you doing here? She asked, not unkindly but not warmly either. I need to talk to you, Nathan said. Really talk, please. Rose stepped aside, letting him in. The bakery smelled like yeast and hope. Nathan had missed this place more than he realized. I have been thinking about what you said, Nathan began. About taking away your choice, about making you feel like a charity case. You were right. I was wrong. I let my desire to fix things override respecting your wishes. Rose leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Why did you do it? Honestly, because I was terrified, Nathan admitted. Terrified that something would happen to Martha and you would lose the person you love most. Terrified that I would lose you before I even had the chance to tell you how I feel. And how do you feel? Rose asked softly. Nathan took a deep breath. This was harder than any business negotiation he had ever faced. I feel like you changed my life the day you accidentally hugged me. I feel like every moment I spend with you is the only time I am truly myself. I feel like I spent 32 years building walls and you walked right through them without even trying. He stepped closer. I feel like I am falling in love with you, Rose Mitchell, and it terrifies me because I do not know how to do this. I do not know how to be vulnerable or open or any of the things that love requires. But I want to learn. I want to try with you. Rose's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they looked different. I am scared too, she whispered. Scared that this is temporary, that you will wake up one day and realize I do not fit into your world, that I am just some novelty, some break from your real life. You are not a novelty, Nathan said firmly, taking her hands. You are the most real thing in my life. Everything else, the money, the company, the success, it all feels empty compared to how I feel when I am with you. But we are so different, Rose protested weakly. Yes, we are, and that is what makes this work. You teach me to slow down, to appreciate simple joys, to understand that life is more than profit and loss. I can help you achieve your dreams, not by handing you everything, but by supporting you while you build them yourself. Rose looked up at him, searching his face for any sign of insincerity. If we do this, really do this, it cannot be you swooping in to save me every time things get hard. I need to be your equal, not your project. You are my equal, Nathan said. You are stronger than me in ways that matter. You have more courage, more heart, more authentic success than I have ever achieved. My grandmother likes you, Rose said with a small smile. She said you have kind eyes beneath all that seriousness. Smart woman. She also said that love is not about two perfect people finding each other. It is about two imperfect people choosing to grow together. Nathan cupped her face gently. I choose to grow with you, Rose, every day in every way. If you will have me. Rose closed her eyes, leaning into his touch. When she opened them again, they were filled with determination and hope. I choose you too, even though it scares me, even though I have no idea how this will work. I choose you. Nathan kissed her then, soft and sweet, tasting like cinnamon and new beginnings. It was nothing like his first kiss or any kiss he had experienced before. It was the kiss of someone who had finally found home after years of wandering. When they pulled apart, Rose laughed softly. So what now? Do I meet your board of directors? Attend fancy galas? Learn which fork to use at formal dinners? Now, Nathan said, pulling her close. We figure it out together. One day at a time. And for the record, I still have much to learn about baking. I never did master croissants. Rose smiled, the genuine, radiant smile that had captivated him from the beginning. Then I guess you will have to keep coming back for more lessons. I was planning on it, Nathan murmured against her hair. For the rest of my life, if you will let me. Outside, the sun rose over the city, painting everything in shades of gold and pink. Inside the small bakery, two people from completely different worlds stood together, proving that sometimes the most unexpected connections become the strongest bonds. Nathan Pierce had built an empire, but Rose Mitchell taught him something far more valuable. That love was not a weakness to fear, but a strength to embrace. And that the richest life was not measured in dollars, but in moments of genuine connection. Martha recovered fully from her surgery. 6 months later, Rose opened her dream bakery with Nathan's support, though she insisted on repaying every penny through a business loan with proper interest rates. The bakery, called Second Chances, became a neighborhood treasure, known for its exceptional pastries and the love story that had begun with an accidental hug. Nathan learned that Vincent had been wrong about everything. Love did not diminish his success, but enhanced it, giving him purpose beyond profit. He became known not just as a brilliant businessman, but as a man who understood that true wealth meant having someone to share it with. And Rose learned that accepting help was not weakness, that letting someone love you completely was the bravest thing she could do. Together, they proved that when two people choose each other every single day, differences in background and bank accounts fade away, leaving only what truly matters: connection, respect, and a love that transformed them both. The millionaire who never believed in love had found it in the most unexpected place. And the poor girl who thought she had to face the world alone discovered that true partnership meant growing together, supporting each other, and building a life that was richer than either had ever imagined possible.